4:21, 25th of March, Life FM, Eloise and Josh on Life FM afternoons.
We're very excited to have joining us through Zoom Rapp, who's the chairperson of New Zealand Game Developers Association. Hi Chelsea, how are you going today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing really well. Thank you for joining us. Now, before we go any further, please tell us exactly what the New Zealand Game Developers Association is.
Yeah, sure. So the NZ GDC is basically the national industry body for game development here in New Zealand. And we basically act as kind of an advocacy group for everyone who participates in making games. So that's, individual game developers, that's game studios, it could be, students and tertiary educators. And our mission is just to help them, build content and businesses and, create games here in Aotearoa.
That's fantastic. Is there any games that have come out of your members that we may have heard of?
Definitely. So if you've ever played Mini Motorways or Mini Metro, those have pretty consistently been in the Apple Arcade's top games every year.
Nice.
Icarus was a AAA game that was released late last year. Wanderer was one of the first partnerships with Sony on PlayStation. That's a really cool VR game that you can get on PlayStation. That was made by M Theory Studios. Lots of games from Pickpock, they have like Horse Racing Simulator, Agent Intercept. Grinding Gear Games makes Path of Exile. That's probably the most famous. That's a really big MMO game.
That's so cool. It's so great. So I don't know how much you're aware of this, but so I just got given a PlayStation 3, and now I'm becoming a gamer. And
nice.
So it's all very exciting. Thank you. And now it's all very exciting for me because it's a world that I have not been involved with. But it's one that obviously is super. It's huge. You've got heaps of people involved, right? And this isn't even just people that are gaming. This is people that are actually making the games, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the game industry in New Zealand generates about $270 million every year.
Wow.
Yeah. There are about 1,000 people that work full-time in game development.
Wow. Well, that's so cool. So do you get a lot of there must be a lot of young people that because I know like gaming is obviously more popular with like younger people than older people, right? Because it's kind of a new-ish thing. I'm talking about like my parents don't game. Do you know what I mean?
Do your parents play Candy Crush? Because the fastest growing demographic in games is actually women over 35.
Well, my mum is over 55, so she's a little older. But yeah, I see what you're saying. But what I'm saying is there must be a lot of interest from young people who play games when they're growing up, and then like, wow, this is so cool. This is a world that I really want to get involved with. So is it a growing industry?
Absolutely. I think there are about 200 graduates in the game industry in New Zealand every year, which is pretty fantastic because this year, the game industry wants to add about 300 jobs, which is, considering that there are only 1,000 people in it currently, to add 300 is a huge increase in its size.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just because, games have seen so much success during the pandemic that a lot of game studios are starting new projects and, you're seeing, programs that are being made. So, kids as young as 7 or 8 can learn how to code, which is really, really cool. And obviously that's great for games, but it's good for, a lot of other industries as well who, anyone who does or uses software engineering in their day-to-day job.
Yeah, well, there wouldn't be many companies that don't have a website or something like that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's massive.
Hey, Chelsea, how does the New Zealand Game Developers Association help the New Zealand gaming industry?
So we have kind of at our top level, we have the New Zealand Game Developers Conference, which happens every year in Wellington. This year it is August 16th to the 19th. And that's it has a day of workshops and then, regular kind of conference talks and panels. But we also have a day on Saturday that's dedicated just for students. So a lot of the speakers at the conference will actually give talks at Massey University on the Saturday for any students that want to attend. We also have a business startup competition called the Kiwi Game Starter, where anybody, you don't have to be, a professional game developer. You could just be somebody who makes games in their spare time, can submit to win. First place prize this year from the University of Canterbury is $25,000.
Wow.
And second place prize is $10,000 from Amazon Web Services.
Wow. Oh, well, that's fantastic. So if people are thinking like, oh, I'm sort of into game development or it's something that I'm really interested in, that are listening to this, can they sign up to be a part of the conference and can they sign up to be a part of the New Zealand Game Developers Association?
Yeah, absolutely. So membership is right now is completely free. So you can just go to nzgda.com/join and just sign up for our newsletter, and you'll see all kinds of really cool opportunities from webinars. There are, I want to say 6 or 7 regional meetup groups that meet up every month, and they will all independently do different talks from game developers. And sometimes they'll have international speakers. They almost always have food. So it's, if you just want to go hang out and learn about game dev and eat some pizza, that's really good opportunities in pretty much every major urban center.
That's one of my favorite parts about getting into the gamer world is there's always food around.
There's always food. There's almost always food. We know what we like, right?
And drinks. Chelsea Rapp from NZ Game Developers Association. Thanks so much for talking to us today. It's been very cool to learn a bit more about game development and about what you guys are doing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.